Alright, casual video here today, because I have lost my mind. This theory has consumed me, and I am now firmly convinced, without a shadow of doubt in my mind, that this is where the story is ending. This is going to be the end arc of One Piece, or at least like near the end. And I don't know how I feel about it. I don't even know if I like this. I would trust Oda if he decided to do something like this to pull it off successfully, but I went in to this theory thinking that it was out of the world, crazy tinfoil hat, no way in hell it has any plausibility as a genuine option for the story. And now I'm just like, yeah, this is likely where the story's going, and I don't know what to do with myself. So this theory was just dropped into my comment section a while back, and I'm like, no, crazy. I don't even know how I feel about this. Not even gonna spare it a second thought. The theory is, again, now I believe it's where it's going. I think I love it. I don't know. The theory is very simple. Luffy is not Joy Boy. Joy Boy is Luffy. And as crazy as it sounds, Luffy will go back in time to the Void Century, and in the form we're used to him now, will be Joy Boy, and we are just seeing his journey to becoming Joy Boy in the past. So time travel. And again, I'm like, this is crazy. I don't really like it. But I know this has been a theory for a long time. The more I look into it online, this is not new. But with the most recent chapter, 1122, granted there's one more chapter right since then, but besides the point, I am now 100% convinced that it is what's going to happen. So spoilers for the manga. We see on the Iron Giant's arm an extremely clear X. There is no confusion of what that is. That is not like a shadow or anything. That is an X on the arm. So if Luffy was to go back in time during a war and had to symbolize, like, identify loyal people, his friends, who he can trust in any situation, what marking would he use to say, this is my friend? How would they identify each other? An X on the arm has definitely been used before. Am I getting hyper-focused on this one little detail? Probably. But I really feel the fact that it hasn't been so obvious in other panels on the Iron Giant, and it's so obvious there and clear, I feel like that gotta be a hint. It's only in one panel really it's this clear, and I'm like, that's gotta be something. Now, the second part comes in the same chapter where we experience Joy Boy's haki for the first time, truly. And it is stored in, like, the wind knot. So when the knot came undone, the haki was released to protect the Iron Giant. Who do we know in the series that studied on a cloud island and can perform these wind knots? Nami, who is obviously right there with Luffy, and if he is acting as Joy Boy, then she can easily perform that for him, especially if we get a bit more experience under her belt. Now, time travel has firmly been set up in the story with the devil fruit that allows you to go forward in time. But Jessica, it doesn't allow you to go backwards. We're getting there. Many devil fruits have both a weaker version of itself and an opposite version of itself. Take the flame fruit. It is a weaker version of Magma Bastard's magma devil fruit. But it's also an opposite to the ice devil fruit. If we were to consider that the time travel devil fruit that allows us to go forward in time, we could assume that the slowdown fruit that Foxy has to be like its weaker version, because it slows you down, time moves around you, so when you're finally released from the effects of the devil fruit, it almost feels like time has moved forward because you had slowed down so much. Time moved around you. And then if that is a weaker version of the time travel fruit, it only goes to assume that there can be a devil fruit that allows you to go back in time. So the opportunity 100% would fit extremely well into this story. Should Luffy go back in time and then return to our present day timeline, would he return as like his past self, reincarnation, reborn thing? Unlikely. But if he were to do something like this, I would just assume that Pudding would be involved and alter his memories to forget this time that had happened. But it could also be very simply he just returns to the same moment he left in the future kind of thing that we haven't got to yet in the story. To address the giant Straw Hats that we see in Mariejois that's frozen for some reason, if anyone wants to add to why it is frozen, feel free to add that. But it's been assumed that Joy Boy was a buccaneer because of the sheer size of this. We could also just assume that Eam is very small, but let's just work under the assumption that they're normal size and the hat is giant. Now, if Joy Boy was a buccaneer, clearly that does not match Luffy. However, what if it was something as simple as he's taking a page out of Ace's book, his darling brother, who would make hats for people who cared about him, and what he learned in Wano with that kind of hat that he gave to Oris Jr., if Luffy simply showed his appreciation by someone who fought with him and cared for him and fought with him in the Void Century, so he gave him his own kind of straw hat. That's an easy enough explanation for me. Should I stretch before making a reach that big? Probably. Let me have my fun. Other Straw Hat members in the past leaving messages that they are then following the breadcrumbs of throughout the story. I swear to God, if Robin is the one who wrote the poneglyphs that she in her past is following to learn the history of the world, the same poneglyphs and secrets that got her mother killed, this might actually break my heart and soul, and I don't think I've wanted anything more in my life than for Robin to be the one who wrote the poneglyphs. Speaking of things written on the poneglyphs, they talk about Joy Boy's broken promise to the Mermaid Princess and the people of Fishman Island. What if that is simply the fact that Luffy has not met with Princess Crybaby Shirahoshi again, and feels like if he dies during the Void Century, I refuse to believe he died. He just came back to the present. Okay, we're not going into Luffy's death right now. I can't handle that. He would have broken his promise to not take her above to the surface to see like a forest of trees on the surface. And that is the promise he broke to her. Again, would absolutely break my heart. And for the goal of Joy Boy to preserve the ancient weapons so they can exist in the future, that being him protecting Princess Shirahoshi, again, are you trying to break my heart? We know that Joy Boy eventually becomes friends with Zunichi. Have we ever seen Luffy become friends with animals? Giant animals especially? No, never. Could never. It's all he does. Briefly, I just want to talk about the Nika Devil Fruit. So it gives you the power to fight in any manner you wish, specifically giving you the body of rubber. And it's awful convenient that it gives you that power of rubber when it should be able to allow you to fight in any form you want. If your thought is, I want to be indestructible, why isn't it I want to be fire, or I want to be air, or I want to be impossible, like have a barrier around me at all time? If that is your imagination, it should be able to create that. And I have no doubt that Luffy could create that in his current Gear 5 form, but why the point of rubber being so specific? Could it just be something as simple as he took a bite of the devil fruit, and then when Shanks grabbed his arm to keep him from leaving, his arm started to stretch because Luffy had just wanted to keep walking, didn't realize that he had his arm being held, so it just stretched because the devil fruit was doing what it wanted him to do. It wanted him to continue walking while the arm needed to be longer. Then Shanks was the one who said, you're now made of rubber. So now Luffy believes that his devil fruit made him the rubber man. So it's either awful convenient that the Nika devil fruit in the past from a different person, Joy Boy, also had the same thought of, I want to fight as if my body was made of rubber, but it works a lot easier if they're both the same person, so they're both using the devil fruit in the exact same way. I'm just saying. But this is where I've really started to focus in on it actually making sense for the story. Because what is the One Piece? If it is everything Roger has collected, his history of the world, but also like Joy Boy's treasure, what could happen when Roger got to Laugh Tale to cause him and the crew to burst out laughing, especially after learning the truth and everything about the world? What if the thing that made him burst out laughing was the fact that his very own straw hat was there at Laugh Tale, the very one he just put on Shanks' head is now back, as if you can't get rid of this hat, it always comes back to you, and the crew burst out laughing. I did not like in the flashback that we first see Joy Boy's silhouette and he's wearing a straw hat. I'm like, that is too child of prophecy. That's too convenient. That is kind of ridiculous for if it is the exact same straw hat that somehow made it to Roger and then made it to Shanks and then made it to Luffy. I did not like the idea of Luffy having Joy Boy straw hat. You know what I do like? The idea of Joy Boy being Luffy wearing his signature hat. I kind of love it. I know that Oda had talked about the Straw Hats need a reward for all the journey that they've gone on, and it's not going to be the friends you've made along the way. So it's not going to be something as simple as Luffy's hat being there. He already has his hat, which he has described as his treasure. Joy Boy's treasure, if it's Luffy, is the Straw Hat. I'm just saying. But I started going back to all the moments when the Roger Pirates met up with the Straw Hats. First of all, we know that Roger is expecting someone, that they came too early. We assume, or I assume, foolishly, taking things at face value, that he was too early and just talking because the Poseidon hadn't been born yet, things are not ready, it's not set up in Joy Boy's plan, and he wished he lived in Joy Boy's time. Foolishly assuming that Joy Boy's time was the past, but really Joy Boy hadn't even been born yet, and Roger had to be the one to inspire the Age of Piracy that would lead Joy Boy's journey. We know Roger is waiting for somebody. Whitebeard has confirmed that. We also know that Rayleigh knew Luffy by name, saying he's excited to meet him. And when they met Crocus, there was just a single line that I'm now absolutely obsessed with. He's talking about when they got their compass for the first time. They've also got Miss Wednesday and her associate there. It's like, are you sure you want to take them with you? Once you set sail, once you've chosen your path, there's no going back. There's no changing it. And Luffy's just like, no big deal. We can go around a second time, referring to the Grand Line, which most can't even survive, go around a second time if we need to. And I'm just like, what if the One Piece, the story has been a loop. The Straw Hats had set off, gone around the Grand Line, found the secret of the world, got something in place, time traveled back to the beginning, done the loop again, but followed a different path this time, making different changes and accumulating all these treasures. And if Laugh Tale, just imagine it as an area where all these different timelines could, I know I'm going full sci-fi here, could connect, and everything that they have gathered throughout their different parallel journeys around the Grand Line, repeatedly, going around multiple times, in different timelines, and everything accumulates at the end. And this is their reward for not only their trip around this first time, but every time before there. You could have Chopper accumulating a journal with every medical knowledge that's ever occurred. You could have the secret of destroying the Red Line to create the All Blue. You could have everybody achieve their dreams for every time they've gone around. It's all accumulated to this moment where they get everything they've ever wanted. Side note, if Chopper did accumulate all the medical knowledge of the world that could cure every disease, that means Roger would have had access to that, could have saved his own life, but realized to save the world, he had to be the one to sacrifice himself, turn himself over to the government to set off the Age of Piracy, to inspire Luffy to continue on this journey in order to save the world. Also, like, there could be a timeline where they ended up in a diamond mine and Nami just gets all the berries and diamonds. I'm sure she would love that. The final piece of evidence I have for this theory at the moment is Oden's journal. Both Momo and Yamato have read Oden's journal, knows the secrets, knows the journey that the Roger Pirates have gone on, and did not tell the crew that we know of what it said. Is it the same reason that Rayleigh was testing them, said, I can tell you everything that has happened, everything we learned across our journey. I can tell you where Laugh Tale is. Luffy refuses. Robin refuses to hear the history of the world, saying they will come to their own interpretations. They will go on this journey themselves. And Rayleigh says, yes, maybe you'll learn something different this time or have a different interpretation. Because, again, they have done this multiple times before. They're changing things along the way, getting everything that they need accumulated, putting all the little moments in history right, that they are ready for the final war. This sounds absolutely crazy, and I don't know if I like it. It's a little too far tinfoil hatty, but it kind of works. Because why else wouldn't they reveal to the Straw Hats any of this? Why is the important thing the journey and not the end result? If the journey is so important, it can't be disrupted. They can't disrupt the timeline. It has to be done without any knowledge of other people interrupting them. And if that's not enough, we know that Odin gave his wife a letter warning her that a war will come in 20 years and that his children have to be prepared for that, protect his children, protect their family from this upcoming war. I get, even if that he knew about Eam and the world government and the war is continuing ongoing, like it hasn't stopped, why would he know that 20 years was when things were going to start to come full circle, swing again? Like, how come he didn't think, oh, well, in 10 years it's going to happen? No, it'll be in 50 years. You got plenty of time. He knew it would be in 20 years when we assume Uranus will be active again, when the government's on full swings, when Eam is making his move, their move, we don't know who they are. How would he know that it would take place in about 20 years if they were not given explicit directions about what is going to happen in the future from Joy Boy? So I'm really, really, really thinking that they are going to somehow go back in time. We will experience the Void Century, not through flashback, but with them. And then Robin will be the one to record these moments on the poneglyphs. They may have learned how to make them, for all I know, from Wano, picked up some information there, how to carve into those stones, and set the course for their past selves to follow, and finally end this war. Granted, none of this actually explains what Luffy's real true dream is, so that's still a missing piece. It's absolutely tinfoil hat crazy, and a little bit too sci-fi for my taste, but I don't hate it, and I think it kind of works. So feel free to tell me I'm crazy, but I'm kind of having fun exploring this tinfoil hat theory and what the internet thinks about it, because like I said, not an original idea, came up in my comment section, and I'm just thinking of moments where it works. All right, that's all I got. Talk to you later. Bye.